remake thing. They're tired of all that. The movie has all kinds of problems that could be.
She was supposed to be Disney's next icon. Now she's Hollywood's biggest warning sign. Just a few years ago, Rachelzegler was the definition of a breakout star. At just 20 years old, she was handpicked by Steven Spielberg to lead his massive West Side Story reboot and crushed it. Critics praised her voice, her acting, her screen presence. She was called the future of musical cinema. Oscar buzz followed. Big budget offers poured in. Studios were lining up. And when Disney announced that Rachel would play Snow White in their next live-action remake, it felt like a fairy tale playing out in real time. But what started as a dream gig quickly turned into a PR nightmare, and the fallout didn't come from a scandal or leaked footage. It came from Rachel herself. Let's be clear, Disney doesn't hand out legacy roles like Snow White lightly. This was the original princess, a character with over 80 years of history, deeply loved by generations. Casting someone in that role meant more than just singing and smiling on screen. It meant carrying a cultural icon. For Rachel, it was a massive opportunity, a chance to become a household name for families around the world. But that's not how it went, because before the movie even hit theaters, the internet was already turning on her. It all started with a few interviews, innocent enough until they weren't. In one clip that quickly went viral, Rachel casually mocked the original 1937 film, calling it weird and outdated, mainly because it focused on a love story with a guy who stalks her. She smirked, shrugged, rolled her eyes. Now, criticism of old films isn't exactly new, but Rachel's tone wasn't thoughtful or respectful. It was snarky, condescending, like she was too cool for the movie she was promoting, and the internet noticed. Parents, the ones Disney needed most, started to feel alienated. Fan pages lit up with anger. Family forums were flooded with disappointment. Suddenly, Not My Snow White was trending. What should have been a celebration of new magic felt more like a lecture. And Rachel? She wasn't inviting people into her vision. She was shutting them out. Just as the backlash was heating up, something truly bizarre happened. An OnlyFans account claiming to be Rachelzegler exploded in popularity overnight, pulling in over 5,000 subscribers. But it wasn't her. It wasn't even a person. It was AI-generated deepfake content, disturbingly lifelike, disturbingly fake. And while Rachel had nothing to do with it, the damage was already done. The timing couldn't have been worse. She was already getting dragged for her press tour. Now she was caught in the middle of a digital scandal. It didn't matter that it wasn't real. The public had already latched on. The memes were brutal. The videos spread like wildfire. What should have been outrage at a privacy violation turned into another punchline. Behind the scenes, things weren't much better. Rachel was starring alongside Gal Gadot, a seasoned actress with massive star power. But their dynamic? Awkward, at best. Stiff red carpet moments. No joint interviews. Body language that screamed, "I don't want to be here." Insiders claimed Disney even flew out a producer just to meet with Rachel privately after one of her political tweets went viral, asking her politely to maybe tone it down. She refused. They hired a media handler just to manage her public image. That's when Hollywood started to get nervous. When Snow White finally dropped, the box office numbers were brutal. $45 million domestic, compared to The Little Mermaid's $95 million. That's not a stumble. That's a faceplant. The IMDb rating, a shocking 1.6. Audiences weren't just uninterested, but they were actively rooting against it. Empty theaters became a meme. Screenshots of unfilled seats trended. People weren't buying what Disney was selling. And for many, that had everything to do with the person selling it, because when you step into a legacy role like Snow White, you're not just playing a character. You're stepping into people's childhoods. You're representing something bigger than yourself, and Rachel didn't seem to get that.
He wrote a comment on Instagram in response to someone.
This is where things get real. The reason Rachel's backlash was so intense wasn't just because of her interviews. It was how she gave them, the attitude, the energy. It wasn't empowering. It was exhausting. What should have been bold came off as arrogant. Instead of evolution, fans felt like she was erasing the story they loved. Rachel didn't honor the character, she undermined her. People didn't feel challenged by her version of Snow White. They felt mocked. And when your audience feels like you're laughing at them instead of with them, they stop showing up. Now the ripple effects are hitting hard. Industry whispers say roles are being reconsidered. Directors are backing off. Studios are questioning whether she's too divisive to carry a film. One casting director even said off the record, she's talented, but she's a brand risk. Just a year ago, she was being called the next big thing. Now, she's a cautionary tale. Here's what makes this different from your typical Hollywood flop. Rachelzegler didn't go down because of a leaked scandal or a messy feud. She didn't get canceled by tabloids or exposed by insiders. She sank herself. With her own words, her own tone, her own choices. And maybe that's the most brutal part, because comebacks happen all the time in Hollywood. People stumble, fail, even crash and burn, and still bounce back. But this wasn't just a fall from grace, it was a rupture in trust. Audiences didn't just lose interest in Rachel's movie, they lost interest in her. Right now, Rachelzegler is stuck in no man's land. The internet has moved on. The studio is silent. There's been no apology, no pivot, no heartfelt moment to reconnect with fans, just silence. And in Hollywood, silence isn't golden. It's dangerous. She may have the talent, she may even have another shot, but if there's one thing this industry doesn't forgive easily, it's arrogance without impact. Because when you lose the audience, not just their money, but their belief, that's not a PR crisis. That's career quicksand. And unless something changes fast, Rachel might just be the first Disney princess to rewrite the fairy tale with no happy ending.